Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a very long time since I said this because it used to be the regular thing in my life. Sitting behind a microphone or a screen 247 mostly, or sometimes you do it in the morning, you do it in the afternoon, you do it in the evening. And even when you go out to drink on a Friday night, somebody will thrust the microphone in your face and ask you to sing. So it's good to have all of you here. This is the Ahaspora webinar series. And today's topic, we are talking about December in Ghana. And for those of us who were born in December, we are called December heads, right? So you can see it on my head, very big. And we make sure Ghana really is the place to be in December. So we're talking about December in Ghana, preparing your business for the end of the year. Over the past 5 to 10 years, Ghana has been the destination for a lot of people in the month of December. All across the world, people want to come to Ghana to reconnect with Africa. So we are now the proper gateway of Africa. We used to be the gateway in words, but not in deed. But for a very long time now, we become the gateway to Africa. And December in Ghana, through entertainment, through tourism, through food and drinks and events, has also opened up a lot of opportunities for businesses. But today we are just talking about preparing your business for the end of the year and even beyond. When this topic was shared with me, the first thoughts were, how does anybody really position their business and themselves for December? And then I thought beyond December, how do you even position yourself post-December? Because people come in, usually there are people who want to reconnect with the motherland, people who want to reconnect with the continent, people who have money. So how do you position yourself so that after all the fun and the chilling of December, you can even get good business partners, you can have people take an interest in your business, and you can move on to do other great things beyond December. That's what we are talking about today. And I have an exciting panel. Ivy Prosper, she's a social media manager and content creator, Year of Return, Beyond the Return, Ghana Tourism Authority. Most of you know her because of December in Ghana. Hello, Ivy, how are you? Kindly unmute. Hello, Ivy, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Ready for December in Ghana?
I'm ready for many things in Ghana. I do a lot more. I think people know me for more than December in Ghana. You said people know me mostly for December in Ghana, but it's far more than that.
Let me be honest with you. I knew Ivy Prosper, and I knew what Ivy did, right, and what she does. But I think the work you do with Beyond the Return, Year of Return, really made me experience you the more, because yes, I got to experience and get to know Ivy more. So for me, even though you are that phenomenal woman who does a lot of things, December in Ghana, Beyond the Return, Year of Return, is my billboard to you. So I'll still stick with that.
No problem.
We also have Elizabeth Olympio Emmanuel. She's the general manager at Jamrock Restaurant, Ghana. Most of you think Elizabeth, she speaks fluent good food and fluent good alcohol and fluent good music and fluent fun. She's also a real estate person. She does a lot of things, really. And just like Ivy, Elizabeth is one of those people who make people enjoy Ghana and always want to come back to Ghana. Elizabeth, good to see you. How are you?
Excited to be here. Thanks for the introduction.
We are in the month of May, and Jamrock always feels like heaven throughout the year. So I'm thinking, what else can somebody like Elizabeth do in December, since she does almost everything and she does it right?
Oh, wow. Thanks for the compliment. So just as you said it rightly, Jamrock is about Ghana and Jamaica. That has been our concept ever since we launched in 2015. So it's been a cultural experience. It's not just about food and drink and music. We aim to let people know about both cultures. So there's always something on the calendar, either it's for Ghana or for Jamaica or the diaspora. We celebrate Black excellence.
And we also have Kwame Duapia. Kwame is a professional electrical engineering consultant. He's a registered member of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. And his experience cuts across a lot of things, but I'll just really simplify it. Kwame is an adventure junkie. He loves to have fun. He loves to show people Ghana, and he loves to make people see and feel Ghana. He's the founder of Encounter Ghana, and Kwame is also one of our panelists. Kwame, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you too?
Kwame, your network is a bit bad, so your video is breaking and your audio is not good enough. If you can position yourself well.
Okay. Is it better?
It's better now. It's better now.
Okay.
So what has been some of the things you've been up to since January?
Well, it's been having some travel experiences in Ghana. Visiting the Cape Coast Castle, going through some ceremonies, giving clients the experience of what it was like to go through slavery, and then also doing some adventure things like cycling, hiking, paragliding that we did with this Easter, like that. I've also been organizing blood donation drives.
There was a cycling event last week, and were you a part of that?
No. I was organizing a blood drive then.
Okay, great. Now, before I come back to you, kindly position yourself very well and see if you can get the best of your network so that the conversation can and will flow. Okay. So, Kwame, and to all those on the call, thank you very much for joining. We are streaming on Facebook. So hopefully we will also stream on Twitter via Twitter Spaces. So kindly share the Facebook link so that your friends and others can join the conversation. And if you see us on Twitter as well, please retweet the space so that people can see it. And before we get into the conversation, let me tell you about the Ahaspora Industry Webinar. It's a series organized to provide information, knowledge, and resources in navigating various industries for personal or business reasons. Now, the webinar series shares insights and presents solutions to our audience, whilst also introducing industry leaders and contacts. So Ahaspora has hosted a webinar on building resilience in our new world. That was a post-COVID conversation. Ahaspora has hosted a conversation on the role of medical research in improving healthcare. We've had a conversation on unearthing the potential in agribusiness, finding big wins in real estate in Ghana, and a whole lot of other things, and access to liquidity for business success, and a whole lot of other things. So consistently, Ahaspora is leading these conversations to create an opportunity for all of us to grow together and be impactful in the things that we do. And today's conversation is on December in Ghana and how to prepare your business for the end of the year. I wanted to start this conversation with Ivy, but let me start with you, Elizabeth. How has your experience been with December in Ghana and the various events that we organize for your business? Has it been as good as people think it is? Because we all assume that in December, lots of people going out, there's a lot of money to be made and all that. Has it been great for you over the years?
Over the years. So over the years, of course, up to 2019 was the best year ever, pre-COVID. And we did have a lot of people. We even organized a street festival where we closed the street from the Max March right up to Star Bites and got all the businesses on the street involved. and it was amazing. We had a concert as well, and that was just a street organization for 2019. Post-COVID, numbers have dwindled. People are coming in. It's encouraging, and we hope that, of course, the restrictions were lifted only early on in 2021, late 2021, early 2022. So that's when normal business, more or less, we are living with COVID. So a lot of the things have changed, and some people have, especially travelers, they complain about ticketing, the rising costs of for travel, and the conditions of travel now is much more complex. It's more complex. You can't just pick a plane and say, I'm going here for 4 days. You have to plan your trip well ahead of time and do a 10-day trip instead of a 4-day stopover in Ghana. But yes, we have had tourists walking in, groups come in 20s, 30s. There used to be much more, but it's good. It's been okay. It's all right.
What do you think we must do in the general industry, the hospitality entertainment industry, to ensure that businesses like yours get the most out of December in Ghana?
First of all, people love service, good service. Now, when a business, and a small business like me, has to focus on recruiting, training, rehiring, firing, training, because we lack training in hospitality. We don't have any hospitality schools. Let me cite the example. Because I'm familiar with Jamaica, I will use Jamaica as an example. Almost all their high-end hotels are breeding grounds for training hospitality staff. They have training institutions. They have invested heavily in training staff, right from cleaners to service to managers. We do not have enough training, adequate training available. So Jamrock pretty much is a training ground, and I'm training for free. But that is sapping as well my personal energy and finances, because what happens, I pick them young. You can't take the older ones because they are bent in bad ways and will not take correction. And my guests are just like me. They want good service. They like good things. So you aim at serving well. Human resources is a huge challenge. And they come in, you are spending, you're using precious time that you could use in selling to train. Training is a big issue for me. The Hot Cats was revived for a while, sometime in 2021, I think. No, before 2019, but it did not survive. So we couldn't tap into that, because if there's an institution, if the ministry or GTA has an institution that is doing the training, we will easily hire from them, because there's so many restaurants. I'm only a restaurant, but there's so many institutions within the hospitality industry that would tap into this human resource if it's properly provided. But here I am training. So staffing is an issue. That's one of the things. I don't want to digress. So can you repeat your question again?
So the things we need to do generally in the industry to catalyze the growth of businesses like yours. You've mentioned training. In your earlier submission, you mentioned people having to plan adequately before they plan. So in the aviation space, maybe there are things that we should do so that people traveling to Ghana will have it easier. Some people have complained about cost of accommodation as well around the time. So you've mentioned training. Please go ahead.
Cost of goods and services. It's not stable. And I believe that is because of our current economic situation. So we take it a day at a time. You cannot plan ahead. So that is one of the challenges we are facing. Taxation is high. Cost of running the business is naturally very high. And so it affects your bottom line, which is sales. And if people can't afford your services, because you have to break even. Breaking even is basically what we are looking at right now. And sometimes people just won't understand why your rice and chicken is 100 cedis and on the street side is 60 cedis. Why are you so high? But there's a cost of running the business where you are located. So that is something we should be looking at. Utilities have been announced to go even much higher. So we're at we are tightening our belts to face what is coming next, and we take it hour by the hour.
Thank you. I don't want this conversation to be about the problems, but I wanted you to highlight some of these problems so that people who want to get into this industry will know what is ahead of them. I once saw a photo of the MDs of the leading hotels in Ghana, and only one of them was Ghanaian. All of them were non-Ghanaians, brought from Europe, the Americas, Asia. To the only hotel, high-end hotel that had its MD being Ghanaian was Usbet Hotel in Sunyani. So it means that if we trained our people very well, they could be running the Kempinskis and the Lancasters and all that.
Absolutely.
We'll be retaining a bit of the money in here. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Now, let me come to you, Kwame. How has the past years been for you? Year of Return, Center of the World, Beyond the Return, December in GH. Has it been good for you?
Yes and no. So in 2019, yes, we did have an influx of guests from all over the world, especially from the diaspora. And typically, you know, when they come around that time, it's usually the restaurants and hotels and parties that make a lot of money. Other sectors in the tourism sector don't quite make as much, especially if you're looking at, say, adventure. Some might stay on and do a bit of nature and relaxation, but usually it's those who are into the parties and hospitality who benefit much more.
So it means that there's a big opportunity for those of you in the adventure space to start packaging deals and even advertising and marketing them way ahead of December in GH. Because look, I've been bringing friends from Kenya and South Africa to Ghana in December, and because I'm a bit plugged into the system, I make them come maybe a week before the activities begin, so they get to tour Ghana, and then they get into the party mood and party. So sometimes by the time they are done, they don't want to go back because they've experienced the country and they've really partied hard. So maybe you guys would need to look at that and package stuff for December in GH. Now, let me go to Ivy. I think Ivy, at this point, should tell us what December in GH is and what is planned for December in GH and how anybody can plug into it. Ivy holds the key to your jams in December. So Ivy, what is December in GH all about? What has been done previously and what are the plans for this year? And if I run any business or have any ideas, how do I get to be a part of this to drive our agenda as a country and also to drive our pockets as individuals?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this panel discussion. So I want to first start off by explaining what December in GH is, because one of the things we have to do is make sure that we know that not everybody necessarily who joins Zoom knows exactly what December in GH is, since part of this is about learning about trends for tourism in Ghana. There could be people joining from around the world that may have heard things about this and they don't know exactly what the campaign is, because you also mentioned that I work with Year of Return and Beyond the Return. So I just want to explain those things first so that anybody who's watching and doesn't know what this is, because I've also posted this on my LinkedIn, there could be people watching who are not so sure. So basically, the December in GH campaign is something that was launched in 2019. And it is one of the most successful tourism products under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture and Ghana Tourism Authority. And then it was launched under the Year of Return campaign as a way to get people to come to Ghana during the month of December when people were already making the trip. Because historically, December has been a month when the Ghanaian diaspora were already coming to Ghana for the month of December. They were already coming for holiday season. And so now this is an opportunity to encourage the rest of the global African diaspora to also choose Ghana as a destination place. And in doing so, we launched the calendar of events. So the calendar of events in 2019 basically had all of the things listed that people can use as their go-to when planning all of their things during the month of December. Because it was so successful, it has continued since. So every December, the December in GH Ghana Tourism Authority, Ministry of Tourism, and now the Beyond the Return Secretariat launches this campaign with the calendar that people can use as a reference point to choose which events and activities they want to participate in. Now, with respect to you're asking about what's planned for it, what's coming up for it, there's going to be a launch soon with a listing of early events that have been approved. Right now, we already have put out that people can submit proposals for events. People can submit proposals for events if they have an event that they want to do during the month of December. And then once it goes through the approval process, then it will be on the calendar of events, which will be released publicly sometime later next month. Now, when you are an event organizer and you want to do an event and you're submitting a proposal, please do consider that your event has to be in line with one of the 7 pillars of Beyond the Return. So the 7 pillars of Beyond the Return, for people who do not know, are Experience Ghana, which is all about experiencing events, parties, festivals, concerts, and tourism overall. The next one is Celebrate Ghana, which is about activities related to culture. So things like going to cultural festivals like the Akwasi Dai Festival that happens every 6 weeks in the Ashanti region and other similar type festivals in other regions. Then there's Diaspora Pathways to Ghana, and that's something that is connecting the diaspora who are looking to move to Ghana, live in Ghana, do business in Ghana. And that one is, for example, people have done conferences during the month of December that has networking of the diaspora with Ghanaians. Then there's Give Back Ghana, which is about giving back to the community. We very much encourage people to do events that give back to the community. We've had people do things like commissioning boreholes, giving to the community in other ways as well through educational opportunities. So that's another thing that you can do, Give Back Ghana. If you have an event that is related to promoting Pan-African heritage and innovation, that's another pillar of Beyond the Return. Then there's Brand Ghana, which is about branding Ghana. And then there's Invest in Ghana, which is about doing business in Ghana. So oftentimes we partner with GIPC to do events that encourage people investing in Ghana. So those are the 7 pillars. If you're an event organizer, that you should consider your event should align with one of those pillars for you to be considered for the December NGH campaign.
Great. Now, you've given us the 7.
I hope I've been thorough.
Yes, you've been very thorough, taking us through more December NGHs and the 7 pillars. But a question for you, still, Ivy. Which of these pillars has seen most patronage? Which of these pillars is lacking in events and businesses that people should probably look at? If you look at the event space, I think December NGH has largely been led by the events. All sorts of events happening December to remember, Afro Nation, Sakaholic, or is it Success? I've even forgotten the names. Lots of events, right? About events all over. So number one, we know that the events are leading the drive for December NGH. But based on where you sit and the data that comes to you, which of the other pillars has a lot of opportunity that people should be looking at to invest in?
There's lots of opportunity for all of the pillars. The one that gets the most traction is Experience Ghana. So the Experience Ghana pillar is the one where you see events like Afro Nation, Afrochella, which is now Afrofuture, different concerts that happen in the month of December. Those ones, or any tourism related activities, those are all under the Experience Ghana pillar. And a large majority of events, that's what event organizers are pitching. So all of the other pillars definitely need attention. People could do things. So Invest in Ghana is the next pillar that often gets events. Some people do events promoting things like real estate, promoting doing business in Ghana. So that's the second one that gets a lot of attention. So Give Back Ghana, giving back to the community. I have to say that being the person who's doing the social media for Beyond the Return, Year of Return pages, that as much as people often come to our office or contact our office and say that they feel that there's a lack in showcasing some of those things, we do our best to showcase some of the things in giving back to the community, a lot of times people don't respond to it. You know, we may endorse an event. So there was one that we endorsed recently that was a health clinic happening in Adenta, and people don't share it. When you share the information about it, people aren't sharing it. People aren't responding to it the same way that they respond to it. If you tell them Burna Boy is coming to headline at Coachella, everybody's like, yes, I want to do that. But when it's like servicing the community, people aren't responding as much. But we do still need more of that to be happening. So the Give Back Ghana, giving back to the community, that one is very important, that we need more of those such events happening in the month of December as well. And then promoting Pan-African heritage and innovation. That one is about Pan-Africanism, but it's also about promoting heritage sites that are outside of the norm. So a lot of people don't know about some of the sites that are in other parts of the country. So an event organizer, maybe an event organizer that does, you know, travel and tours or something, could start promoting something that is an event taking place, you know, focused around some other heritage site in the country, you know. So stuff like that is things that people can be a little bit more creative with when they're making their plans about different events that they want to promote in Ghana. And the festival one, Celebrate Ghana, that one is about festivals, cultural related festivals. That's another one that could be increasing as well.
Thank you, Ivy. When I come back to you, I want you to also talk to me about the geographical spread of events and opportunities. There are people who feel that most of the things done for December in GH is in Accra. And I don't know whether from where you sit, you see opportunities in other things we can do across the country, which we should all try to tap in and invest.
Do you want me to answer that now?
Oh, no, not now. I want you to catch your breath and
so my breath is always long.
Okay, now let me come to you, Elizabeth. So the conversation basically is about how to prepare our businesses for the end of the year. You said earlier that 2019 was good for you. 2020, we all know what happened, COVID hits, and 2021 we started recovering and all the issues and IMF, all those things. So let me just drop them. But you successfully pulled off one of the biggest events by a private sector-led business in 2019. You've reinvented yourself through the hardship of COVID and the post-COVID economic crisis. And I can say that business is thriving because I'm a patron of your business. I'm contributing to it, so it's thriving, whether you like it or not.
Praise Jah.
What advice do you have for people who want to tap into the December and GH vibe as businesses? What things should they do to position themselves to really, really get the results they are looking for themselves and also for the country?
All right, so hospitality is one of the toughest industries anywhere in the world. I wouldn't say just Ghana, anywhere in the world. And first of all, you must have passion and you have to have innovation and constantly creating and thinking out of the box. COVID happened. We were losing our business. It meant we could not afford to keep our location as it was in East Legon. We went into a partnership. I gave away a chunk of it. So we stayed operational, become a small person in a bigger picture. So you survive the period until you can stand on your own feet. So now we are located in an outdoor space of the Oak Plaza Hotel, independently running, and we're doing our very best, small, but it takes a lot of you to think out of the box to keep it going. You have to be resilient. And this resilience is through partnerships. Don't close your mind to saying, I want 100% of everything. 100% of zero is zero. But if there is something tangible that you can team up and work with, so for instance, I can choose to team up with Potbelly on a one-off every quarter and say we are going to do a big show somewhere, take a venue like the Garden, Potbelly and Jamrock coming together to do something, and we share. So all the effort, we all have the same customers. We should keep that in mind. So we don't only have to wait for December, if you get my drift. We can do this on a quarterly basis and take the money from you, the patrons. You come to all three of us in one place. So that's one big idea. Social media. Social media has been a huge force. Jamrock doesn't have a single signboard anywhere in Accra or Ghana, and it's not because we don't want it, it's because we can't afford it. So we rely on you, the patrons, to come to Jamrock, take that picture right at Jamrock and say, I have been here, and post it on all the platforms. Each one of us has a network of over 1,000 people. And imagine that, that is how we stay alive. So social media, technology, embrace technology. It goes far and wide, the entire universe, the whole world. I'm sure there are people on Mars who are also watching us. Yes, so it's a one small click away to push your business. Think, what can people afford? How can I get to the people? It's no longer just about food and drink for me being a restaurateur. It's an experience. I'm selling an experience to my people, the locals, and to the foreigners coming in. They have to enjoy the Jamrock experience. And that's basically what we try to do, not only in December, all year round.
So two things: people should learn to partner so that they can reach a bigger market and get better returns. And we should optimize the use of innovative products and social media to reach our audiences. So partnership, great. Now let me come to you, Kwame. You've run this business for a very long time. You know, the thing about the business we run, the entertainment, food, show business, is that people think it doesn't take any technical knowledge or experience to run these. So someone sees Elizabeth running a restaurant, tomorrow they also go and set up another restaurant somewhere, try to call it the same name, get some similar branding and try to run, because, oh, it's not hard to do food. Then the next moment you see they've collapsed. Someone sees Kwame running tours and all that. Oh, for tours, what do you need? You need a car. You need people to sit in the car and just run around. Before you know, they've collapsed and all that. So people, I believe people usually think that this industry is the entry barrier is very low, so everybody can do it. But you don't see a lot of people staying in for a very long time. So Kwame, my question from you, from where you sit, how do people position themselves and their businesses to take advantage of the market we have? In fact, the conversation is about December and GH, but I feel that if you look at January, February, March, all the way to December, there's an opportunity to brand each month and milk it as much as possible. So how do I and other people listening take advantage of whatever is available to build their businesses, to get the best returns and to serve all of us well?
I really like your preamble to this, because there's this misconception as you shared with us, but, trying to take care of people, trying to make people happy is a very, very difficult job. And one needs to really learn. Like, you really need to learn a lot. You need to build yourself up. You need to learn about personality types. You need to learn about different countries and what makes different nationalities tick. We need to learn about Ghana itself, because people are coming here. We need to sell the country, market it properly. Every destination has good and bad things, right? We need to do more of marketing the great stuff here. Ghanaians are very much known for our hospitality. But then when you look at the hospitality industry, like Elizabeth was saying, customer service is not as great. And it's something we take for granted. And I can't overemphasize that we really, really need to take that seriously. We really need to build capacity in customer service. And then also a mindset, like we should have an entrepreneurial mindset, like Kaizen, right from the top to the bottom, right? People who are curating experiences or organizing tours. It's not you just the CEO. or management level that needs to understand entrepreneurship and all. But even the waiter, the waitresses, because sometimes you go to certain places, you ask a waiter a question, he or she doesn't know, and then it ends there. But if the person understands what the business stands for, and Elizabeth does a very great job at that, her people are on point. At Jamrock with that, they would go back, ask questions, get back to you with feedback. Also understanding that a lot of the visitors we receive are more fast-paced than we are, right? We are, laid back and chill and, take things easy, but others are not like that. We need to understand their mentality, their psyche, and then also try to meet them. Of course, they can have the Ghanaian experience where it's like things are a bit more slow down for them. But that notwithstanding, we need to pay attention to what they are also used to so that we blend that. An example in the culinary industry is, for example, Americans. Americans have a different palate, right? So they are not so much for spicy food. Now, there's usually a challenge when we have Americans coming in, deciding where to eat and so on, because then most of our foods are spicy. So doing a bit of KYC, knowing your clients, knowing our customers also helps, knowing some of these technical things and then their personality types. Also, we need to have good sustainable habits and practices. Like, for example, you pick people up, could you have a little bin on the bus so that they can drop off some waste and then, clean up the bus as soon as they get off, have, chauffeurs present themselves well, dress properly, stuff like that. Also, we need to do a lot with our infrastructure development in terms of, sometimes you have groups that want to come, large groups, but we don't have hotels that can take as many people. And like you were saying, most of it is concentrated in Accra. Rock City is doing a good job trying to shift that, make that change. Whereas we have a luxury hotel outside of Accra that can match up with hotels in Accra. So things like that, directional signs, road safety. Driving in Accra at night can be quite a hazard, depending on places you go to, because we have challenges with reflectors on the road. We talk about road traffic accidents increasing around that time. I don't think it's just because of careless driving. It's also due to road safety. It's said that in Accra, you need to know where you're going. Otherwise, you could be in trouble. Look at the motorway, there are potholes on there. And it's nothing like that compared to the Autobahn or other highways. Why do we put ourselves at risk? And Tema motorway is a very important one in the tourism industry, because if you're moving out of Accra towards Akosombo, towards the Volta region, you cannot escape using that road. So those are some of the things we really need to look at. And then also, like with our food and culture, let's see how we can rebrand. We're used to, like, let's say yam and nkontomre and so on and so forth, but what creative thing can we do with our yam and nkontomre such that it would appeal to, say, the American palate, for example, that doesn't like spicy food as much.
So on food, we need to learn how to package our food better and present it better and promote it better. And
the packaging, but the creativity.
Yeah.
The creativity in presenting the food, not just how it looks, but the taste and the combination. Plantain and beans. We've been doing plantain and beans. We have kelewele. What else can we do to that to make it different, special?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Kwame. Let's get back to businesses and people again and what they must do. I did media for about 18 years, and based on my experience, I came to a conclusion that when it comes to a lot of these events and businesses that plan for December in GH, sometimes they leave their planning to the last part of the year, like November, early week of December, they start putting together stuff. I don't know whether you guys have seen that, Ivy, Kwame, and Elizabeth. Is there something to be said about the way we plan for our events and how they impact how we execute them and the returns we get? For example, somebody hears that Afrochella is coming up, Afro Nation is coming up, this is coming up. He feels they also have to organize an event. And at that particular point, the artists are in demand, so they'll be asking for, say, 100,000 Ghana cedis or 200,000 Ghana cedis. It's May a good time to start planning an event and putting things down so it helps you flow easily into it in December? How should people approach planning for December, especially businesses, to make sure they don't make those mistakes and they don't get the challenges that we've seen in the industry over the years when it comes to late planning? Ivy, do you want to take this, or I should go to Elizabeth?
I can give an answer, and Elizabeth can also give an answer, but I can give an answer to this. I think a large part of this is an issue, it's a cultural issue. Ghanaians have a tendency to do things at the last minute. There's a tendency to do things late. There's a tendency for you find out that something's happening and, oh my goodness, I want to be a part of this too, which is what we see every year with the December in GH. Whenever we release the calendar of events, our email, our phones go off the hook. And the DMs on Instagram and on Facebook, people start sending messages. How can I get my event on the list? How can I get my event? How can I be part? How can I? It's like some of these people were already in December. Let's say it's even December 14th. Sometimes it's middle of December and people are asking to be put onto the list. And it's like people, let me put it this way. Afrochella, now known as Afrofuture, when it is finished on December 29th, the next day, they're already planning the following year. And that's how you have a successful event. Even people who plan a year ahead have challenges. If you have an event idea that you want to do that's in December, I'm not saying you can't plan it from now, but if you're going to start planning an event now, you need to have a budget. You need to have things that you plan properly, having a team, even if you have volunteers who are committed to your cause, making sure that you have sponsors who can potentially come on board. Because if you're just now get sponsors for December, you might not be able to get them, because a lot of companies by now, they may have almost exhausted their budget because people are planning their budgets at the end of the previous year. So they may have exhausted what they're going to spend and they don't have anything to spend on your idea now to start. So people need to plan well in advance. Right now, we are accepting proposals for events. And this is the reason why, from the experiences in 2019, we made sure that the questions that you're asked on the form that you have to fill to get your event considered, we ask about if you have a budget already planned and to show us how your budget is. We ask you if you've done an event in Ghana before, have you done it successfully? If so, how long have you done the event? So we ask you questions to qualify if you actually can do this. The other thing we do now is that if you haven't registered a business, we're not going to endorse your event, because we don't want just anybody coming on and saying they want to do an event and then you don't even have a business, you don't have anything that is traceable. Because GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority, they had a meeting with event organizers last year, and I believe the previous year as well, because they want to make sure people are aware that if you're doing an event, that they expect taxes to be paid to GRA from the earnings you make from your event. So you have to be a business-minded person if you're going to be doing an event. It can't just be like you're throwing a birthday party for your friend. It is a business that you have to take seriously, because it involves customer service. It involves the reputation of yourself, people that may endorse you, people that may support you, people that may promote you, are all part of the whole package. So make sure that you take it seriously like a business. It's not just a party that you're throwing one time.
Plan ahead of time. Make sure if you want to be on the calendar, you plan ahead of time, you meet all the requirements. And then most importantly, you make sure that everything you need for regulatory compliance is also in place.
I just want to make a comment because I saw a comment from a saying that they should be taking taxes from businesses anyway. Of course, they do take taxes from businesses anyway. The reason why GRA had the meeting with event organizers is because there's a lot of people who have a mindset that they can do an event and not pay taxes. So the reason they had the meeting was to remind people, you're doing an event, you still have to pay taxes for your event, because trust me, there's people out there who will feel that they can just have a party, do the ticket sales, get their money and run, especially event organizers that may not be in Ghana full time, people who go back and forth, because we do have people who spend part of the year outside of the country. And some of those people are the ones that, need to be held accountable as well. So that's why those announcements were made.
And as a former event organizer, I can also speak to that. What some event organizers do, they sell 2,000 tickets, they declare 200 tickets and pay taxes on just 200. That's what caused GRA to start positioning staff at various ticketing stands for events to ensure compliance by the various event organizers to the taxes. So GRA has been doing that. People still have ways of evading those taxes. So let's just help them, because in December, there's a lot of money that goes around. And some of that money, if we got taxes from that, could pay for some healthcare or education or some other things. Anyway, so Elizabeth, to you, planning, how should we approach it?
Planning. She summed it up. Ivy summed it up pretty much, and you've added to that. It's pretty much planning and a budget. I speak from the perspective of a small business owner. There are so many events that happen in December, and it actually happened this December as well. Not all of them were well attended because it was so concentrated. There were too many events. So perhaps this would go to Ivy as well. Maybe you could also limit the number of events that happen in Accra, so that it's not so difficult to get to places. It's not so cramped up. I think one of the events last year, they had to close the gates. They had to stop it because there were too many people. I don't know what security measures we put in place for those, but as a business owner, you have to have a budget. What is this event going to cost me? What is the bottom line? Am I going to make money, or it'll just be the same sales I'll make after spending so much to put it up? Is it going to be worth it? Or can I speak to business A, B, C? We meet up, choose a venue, and I'm all about partnerships, teaming up and doing work together. And so there are different service providers within the hospitality. You have someone who has the setup. Rudy, I can't afford to pay Rudy for his fees, what he'll do to set up a stage for a concert. I can bring an artist from Jamaica, right? Now I have the food and the drink. Teddy Pepper has a venue. So how can we all team this together and put up a show, and we all get away with something? But it will be more challenging for all the businesses to say, I'm going to also get a slice of that cake in December and do my own show. Trust me, a lot of people end up with burnt hands. There are losses in huge investments that you put in, and the returns are not pretty much worth it. Planning ahead, you've got to plan ahead. We're having Father's Day on June 18th. We started planning for it in February. Mother's Day passed. We've put up a promotion out there already, that a competition. Put a picture of your father and your mother, get a free dinner for two. That is setting the ball rolling ahead of time with minimal expenses. You get 100 people coming for Father's Day. It's a success, it's great. And you won't be killing the pockets of your patrons as well, because it will be something that's just organic. December is great. Honestly, December is beautiful. We all love the buzz of December, but businesses, small business owner like me, I always like to think of the bottom line. Is it going to be financially beneficial to do something on your own and not make profit? Yeah. I hope I'm making sense.
So yes, you're making sense. So that's planning is very, very important. But please allow me to react to something you said, that maybe GTA should consider regulating the event, as in the number of events we can have. I think difficult.
Within an area.
I think it will be difficult to do that, because as long as the venues are available and the event organizers claim or have signed up whoever they need for the events, we may not be able to do that. It's all a matter of a function of marketing and advertising to attract your audiences to come. But I think what GTA can do is to have consultants who help event organizers package their events very well and distribute the events better.
Distribution of the events, yes.
For somebody who grew up in Kumasi, I know that on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th in Kumasi, if you have an Ofream Ponsa concerts for 23rd, you will fill your venue, even though you don't have large venues. You can have a Samini, Kofi Kinata, or Chiame Kwame concerts, just the three of them, you fill a venue. You do your Amachi the day, you fill the venue. And so we need to have consultants who help people who don't understand the geographic nuances to get all those things so that we can distribute events. But to say that, nah, we should regulate events in certain areas, you can't have this number of events, I think that'll be a bit difficult and a huge tax to put on the GTA. I don't know, Ivy, if you have anything to say to that before I go to Kwame.
So this is a comment that's made on a regular basis over the last few years, is people often share their grievances that they feel that all of the events are in Accra, that mostly everything is in Accra. So when it comes to the submission of events, we put a call out to event organizers to submit their event ideas of what they want to do. Our office does not make the decision to say everything is in Accra. If you've put a call out and let's say 500 event organizers submit proposals, and of those 500 event organizers, all of them want to do events in Accra, and maybe there's 20 who've decided to do it in other places, there's a huge discrepancy of everybody wanting to do it in Accra. And those people are making that decision on business. They're looking at money. They're not looking necessarily, a lot of people don't want to take the chance of the losses, and they also think about their potential customers. So let me break that down in what I mean. If you're a business owner and you have an event that you're doing, and you're thinking, okay, where can I potentially have a space to hold the number of people that maybe they're looking to hold? And if you think about, let's say, an event like Afrochella, I'm just going to use that as an example. And if they know the number of people that they have coming to their event, they know how many people are coming from abroad combined with the people who are in Ghana. They know that hotels are going to have to house these people because their event is a 2-day festival, so people will want to spend the night somewhere. Now, Afrochella has had numbers of 16,000 people attend the festival. Does Kumasi have enough for 16,000 people in hotels? Does Tamale have enough for 16,000 people in hotels to be at the level that those people want? So for instance, I had a woman that I curated a trip for who was coming from New York, and she said she wants an adventurous African experience, but she wants to sleep in a 5-star hotel. She doesn't want to sleep in a low budget 2 or 3-star. She made that perfectly clear. And I told her, if you only want to stay in a 5-star, then you're not going to go outside of Accra, because you are not going to find 5-star in the majority of this country. Accra is the place that has the 5-star hotels, and then Kwewu has the Rock City, and then the Volta region has the Volta Serene Hotel, which is considered, I think, 4 or 5-star. So you're limited when you think about the customers from that business standpoint. The other thing is, we have encouraged people. So we haven't said don't do events in other places. Every time there's a press release, I'm the one that writes the press release. And I've often written in a press release that we encourage people to do events in other parts of the country. Last year and the years before, we've had people who've done events in the northern region, in the Upper East region, in the Volta region, in the Ashanti region, and in the Eastern region, and in the Western region. We've had people do events that we have endorsed, and I personally have posted on the pages. We have no control if people actually make the trip. So we partnered with, let's say, the Potomanto Festival is in Takoradi every year, and we have been promoting them since 2019. Every year we endorse that festival, and it's a festival that celebrates the culture of Ghana pre-independence. And so we promote it, and then they don't get the numbers that they hope to get, because a lot of people, they come, they stay in a car, they're like, oh, the most they want to do is go to Cape Coast, maybe they'll go to Kumasi, but they don't want to go all the way to Takoradi. So that's the challenge we face, is the customer makes the decision on where they want to go as well. And then sometimes businesses make the decision on where they feel they can most money. There are a few people who have decided that they're doing things outside of the region with the plan that it will grow and become something that can be a driver. Those are people who have the long-term thinking. They're thinking, okay, I've lost money this year. Next year, I'll get a few more. The following year, I'll get a few more. So there's people who have long-term thinking and are thinking it'll be something that gets better every year. There was a festival we endorsed in Bogotanga this year. I can't for the life of me remember the name of it, and it did quite well. And so I'm sure we'll endorse it again, you know, and try to promote people to go to Bogotanga as well. So we do encourage people. It's just a matter of the people actually don't choose, most of them don't choose to go outside of the comfort zone of Greater Accra. That's the challenge.
So you have challenges, and those challenges are not challenges for you to solve. For example, people moving outside Accra to Boga for an event, for example, you only have the option of flying to Tamale and driving to Boga. If the person doesn't want to do that 6-hour trip, it's difficult. But I think that between GTA and GIPC, you can put together a list of event and business opportunities that Kwame can walk to GTA and say, look, I have some money, I have some 100,000, I want to invest in an event. This is the type of event I want to have. Let's say a literary event outside Accra. What are the venue options and what are the resources I can easily tap into to do that? Should I talk to, say, somebody like Nana Aredamoa and Dapabli Productions in Kumasi? What venues do I have? For events like that, can you talk to GRA and say, look, these events are catalyzing the growth of the industry in a certain way. And so for the next 5 years, we shouldn't be too particular about taxing these people. Let them flow, let them have their events. Don't take your people there to go and take proceeds from there. Because if I'm organizing a poetry event, for example, it's something which is growing. So if you have to deal with GRA and all these other issues, then you're like, look, at the end of the day, I'm not getting enough money. So why do I have to worry about this? So if you could put packages like that together, then maybe Lexi, who is on this call, Isabel, Jibril, Ernest could put $25,000 together each and come to GTA. They come, there's an event package you have for, say, Western North, that you know that if you take Familia and all these boys and to go Bolshoi, you'll get some 20% return on investment. So we can distribute some of these things. And I think in such a package, you should not just be looking at the diasporan markets. Let's look also at the local market, because I'm consistently beginning to feel that December in GH is being packaged for people from outside the country, and people within are not the primary audiences for these events. So this is something I just wanted to throw your way before I go to Kwame. So if you have a quick reaction, I'll take it, then I'll take Kwame's thoughts.
So one of the things that I always say whenever I write press releases is that we want event organizers to create events that will bring together the diaspora, local Ghanaians, and continental Africans. We want the three peak groups to come together, because that's what it's all about, is us connecting the dots between the groups. The challenge we have is that some event organizers, some of the event spaces that they've chosen, the event owners also have higher prices in the month of December. So if you're renting a space, so for instance, in 2019, I was looking at doing an event myself. And when I looked at the space, in June, the space cost was I think it was 8,000 cities, but they said, oh, but if you're doing the event in December, it's going to be $10,000. And it's like, wait, it's 8,000 cities earlier in the year, and in December you're charging $10,000. And they're like, yes, because it's high demand, so they charge $10,000. So if you're an event organizer and now you're faced with a space costing so much money, you want to get a return on what you've spent to rent the space. So then they end up having these high ticket prices, which results in the local community feeling like they're being priced out, when that's not necessarily the fault of the organizer. It's the owner of the event space who's now raised the price, and it's forced them to say, well, I need to make my money back somehow. So that's one of the challenges as well when it comes to costing. But we do encourage people to do events that will include everyone.
On this venue thing, Elizabeth mentioned regulation of number of events, and I said, no, I disagree. But on this, I think that the GTA and Ministry of Works and Housing, or the appropriate ministry or local government, could work to set bandwidth for various event venues. For example, if you own an acre of land in East Legon for an event venue, we know the property rates in East Legon. You assess the services the venue has, electricity, water, everything, you know the rates, and then you can set the highest ceiling that person can charge for an event. I think those things can be regulated. On the hotel front, we have 1 star to 5 stars and all that. I think there should be a way, because one of the things people complain about a lot is the cost of accommodation. I do travel a lot within the country and within the sub-region. And you always compare and realize that Ghanaian hotels cost so much. So on that front, a typical hotel is paying about 17 to 19 taxes and levies on a single charge. So if we want to ensure the growth of the space, your team should be working with those who are slapping all these charges and levies to help reduce the cost on the business operators, so that they can get more volumes, and the little taxes they pay, then also by the principle of multiplication, becomes a lot more for the states. That's something I want to just run by you. But Kwame, we've said a lot, and I want you to come in. I know you have a lot of follow-ups and comments to make on all that we've said, so go ahead.
Okay, I'll start by saying that Rome was not built in a day, right? And nothing on earth here, with the exception of things that God created himself, nothing on earth here just happens by itself, right? We talk about Accra being the buzz of tourism in Ghana. People want to come to Accra. My question is, what can we do to drive people to other places in the country? Now, that requires serious infrastructure development, our roads, transportation networks, whether we're going by air or by sea, right? That really needs to be looked at. We need to have different ministries, different government agencies, talking to each other, collaborating to make sure that these things create an enabling environment for the entrepreneurs to take the risk to, do some of these things, drive people out of Accra. For example, like you said, Bolgatanga. If you have an event in Bolgatanga, it's going to be really tough to get people there, because they can fly to Tamale at best, and then they have to have a long drive.
I mean, there are people in Bolgatanga already. Bolgatanga has a population of over 100,000 people. I just wanted
I'm not disputing that, but you're also looking at the cost of business and those who can afford to actually patronize those events. I'm looking at like the volumes of people we have coming in, foreigners particularly, to Accra compared to those going all the way to Bolgatanga. Usually I'd imagine that yes, you have some expats there and so on, but they are usually there for work. Occasionally, you have people visiting. I dare say that the kind of traffic Accra experiences is not the kind of traffic you would find in Bolgatanga or Wa, for that matter of fact. I mean, I guess you can agree with me with regards to that. So my core point is, let the different government agencies create the enabling environment for the entrepreneurs to take the risks and then drive in money to drive the GDP of the country up. Now, if you don't have good transportation networks, I mean, we're going to work with what we can work with to make the best out of it, right? So if staying in Ghana, staying in Accra is plain safe, of course, the businessman doesn't want to take foolish risks in taking his or her business out of Accra. And we must understand that. So I would implore, for example, the GTA and the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture and other stakeholders to really come together to look at how they can create an enabling environment for the tourism entrepreneur. Because if you're not helping, how then do you want the tourism entrepreneur to make money for you to get your levies from? And then GRA too also wants to come for some money. Where do you want that money to come from? Now, one key thing that could be done aside the infrastructure development is branding and marketing. I don't think we do a great job with that. For example, Ivy mentioned that they've put it out there for people to bring their events and so on. I personally haven't seen the buzz about invitations for proposals to include your events in the December in Ghana calendar. I mean, that is me. I may have missed it, but the thing is that if you're doing sponsored ads and so on and so forth, I don't think, you know, and with WhatsApp, the way things circulate on WhatsApp in Ghana, like, I mean, I haven't come across any such thing. So then it leaves me wondering that there's a lot more that could be done with the branding and marketing of such things. And then also Ghana, how do we market Ghana? I quite remember, I used to watch, I like CNN, BBC right from childhood, right? And there were some adverts, you know, 30-second adverts, 60-second adverts, and you can pick up a lot, right? Till today, this advert of Malaysia doesn't exist. But the moment you mention Malaysia, they used to have this advert on CNN, and then the rest of it goes truly Asia, you know, and then you have their cultural arts, and like, I just have that at the back of my mind. Can we do something like that for Ghana? I don't think Ghana has that. Usually the ones that Ghana has that I would say is in line with that are longer videos. Can we have like a 30-second something, like a statement that when we say Ghana, what follows next, that will stick in our minds, you know? So the branding and marketing. Also, I think we need to do a lot more with our communication. We talk, but we don't communicate. What I mean by that is that people say things, but they are not quite clear in what they want to achieve. So then you find out that people think they've spoken to each other and understood each other. And Ghanaians, a lot of us, we tend to have this habit of saying yes before we actually even process what has been asked or said. And so that's another thing I think we need to look at. Personally, we should all endeavor to you know, build our communication skills, to learn a lot more about communication. And, you know, I believe that GTA, or well, whichever government agency could help out with this, could, you know, help tour operators or tourism entrepreneurs, advise them when they come, like things they could do to, you know, help their businesses. Because at the end of the day, if they are helped to build their businesses, they are going to generate income or revenue that would definitely, you know, go to benefit the tourism authority and effectively the GDP of Ghana. So that's one thing to look at. Another thing too, you mentioned about high cost of running the businesses, you know. Yes, and pricing out locals, right? I think I haven't been for having prices for locals, having prices for foreigners, but it turns out that, hey, man, a lot of things tend to be underpriced, like throughout the year, right? If you have to consider locals, because the reality is that salaries are generally horrible. So people don't have disposable income, right? But here's the thing, is their land, is the land for Ghanaians, right? They should also have the opportunity to enjoy, goods and services as well as nature spaces and so on in the country. So maybe that's another thing we could look at, where we have maybe some pricing concessions for locals. And it's not to say that we want to be unfair to foreigners or expats, but I mean, there are definitely some people who are earning a lot more and who can afford these things. And if we want to have local participation, this is something we need to start looking at. I also feel like, I don't know, this would probably come from the Ministry of Finance, but if, if, we- if you have foreigners bringing foreign currency to the country, I think it helps, right? But you're told to price in cities and you're supposed to do business in cities. Now, if we have people making payments in USD, for example, and we keep the USD here, it goes to help the economy anyway. So I don't see why we should kind of limit it to just the CD and so on and so forth. And then it's affecting business owners because they also need that foreign currency to be able to probably procure things from outside and so on and so forth. So that's something to be looked at, and which is why I was saying that different stakeholders really need to come together to look at the entire value chain of the tourism industry, because it's said to be the #1 or #2 generator of revenue for the country, right? It's something we really need to look seriously at and have all these stakeholders come together to work out a plan that will create an enabling environment for tourism entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Kwame, for that. But I don't know. So on the pricing in dollars, how do you know that this man standing in front of you is a local who has cedis and this other person is a foreigner who has dollars?
No, what I'm saying is, so in places like, for example, Tanzania, Zanzibar, right, they use the shilling and the dollars, right? Yeah. So if you have the shillings, they will take it. If you have the USD, they will take it.
So businesses would then have to then price in both dollars and cedis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Then also having, for example, payment systems, right? That can take the different currencies. Right now, if you want the POS to be able to take the USD, it will tell you that yes, it accepts the USD, but if you want to cash out, you're going to have to cash out in cedis. I mean, why that?
Okay, thank you. Let me read some messages. We have about 45 minutes more to go on the call. We have 41 people on Zoom and others on Facebook and the other channels. So I don't want the conversation to be just the four of us. So I'll read some comments and I'll open the floor for others to share their thoughts, how they think we can do it and do it right for businesses to benefit from December in GH. And Ghana in Ghana, beyond December in GH, every other month in GH. And so Yas says we should also look to drive tourism throughout the whole year, beyond just December. Kwame Duapia agrees with Ya. And Kwame says that we really need to do a lot more with our destination branding and marketing, but not only that, we need to really work hard on our capacity and infrastructure building to be able to handle the eminent traffic yet to come. On infrastructure, there are some interesting roads being built in Accra. At least the flower pot connecting East Legon can distribute traffic nicely around Christmas if it's completed. So fingers crossed on that. Now, Maureen says, great points to Elizabeth. Lexi says, what's your view on Afro Park community? Lexi, who do you want to answer this question? Is it Ivy or Elizabeth or Kwame? Let me know. And yeah, okay, on the GRE comments that came earlier, yeah says that they should be taking taxes from businesses anyway, not from a specific event. Yes, I think that's been addressed. Now, Wilhelmina says that it's feeling like more and more events are being targeted towards people coming from the diaspora rather than both local Ghanaians and those in the diaspora during December, particularly in the ticket prices of some events. How do we fix this? I think this goes to Ivy. So let's react to these comments before I read the rest, and then I'll allow people to join the conversation by voice. So Ivy, Mina thinks that we are targeting more people from the diaspora and ticket prices of some
I believe
events.
I addressed this.
Yes, you addressed it, but I don't know
I believe
whether
I addressed this.
at this time she added ticket prices. That
Mhm.
it's
But I
affecting
had read the message
Mhm.
previously, and then that's when I had addressed it and mentioned the ticket prices. That's why I talked about the cost of the venue. So if you're an event organizer and you're renting a space, and I told you my personal experience that I was going to do an event, and it was one price it was 8,000 cities was it June, July, and then by the time it was December, the guy said the space is $10,000 because it's December. If you're an event organizer and you're selling tickets, now you're like, oh, I have to charge more because I need to make the money back from the money spent just to rent the space. So event organizers' hands are tied because they're trying to have an event, but yet they're being charged more money for the space. And then it ends up getting put onto the customer. Just like when you go to the grocery store, if the person who's importing or is getting stuff from the farm, they're telling you the gas, the petrol has gone higher, and that they put that all into the price. So your tomato that might have been one price 6 months ago is a different price now because of rising costs. It gets passed on to the customer. Unfortunately, that's what happens with ticket prices most of the time. I'm not saying it's always the case, but I'm saying that most of the time it's because the venues cost more in December. So they're trying to make their money back and it goes into the ticket prices. With respect to the local community, I had mentioned previously that we encourage people to have events that include all people from the diaspora, all local Ghanaians, and all continental Africans, because we get a lot of Africans from other countries that come in December as well, especially from Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya. So we encourage people to do events that's going to bring all those groups together. I hope that answers the question.
That answers the question. Thank you very much, Ivy.
In addition to that,
Okay.
in addition to that, I think event organizers need to look at approaching venue owners with the budget and involve them in the project, because pretty much the venue is the core of the event. So if they look at it and show them, listen, we give you 10% or 15% of the proceeds, that is of gross profit, they would be more interested in looking at it, and everyone goes home without a loss. Unless, of course, the event is not successful and then no one attends it, but then they wouldn't be looking at coughing up that large amount upfront. It's an idea. If event organizers are on the forum, they should consider this for December.
The other thing I encourage some event organizers to do is just to hop on to what Elizabeth is saying, is when you partner with an event space and maybe there's something in particular you can work on. So for instance, if you're going to do something at Jamrock, I don't know if this is what she would do, but you go to them, you say, hey, I want to use your space. I don't have the budget to pay whatever the full price is, but how about I pay this amount to rent the space, and then each person who comes has to spend a certain amount of money to eat food in the space or to buy a drink in the space. And then that way it's like you're coming to an agreement, and they may reduce the price because people are going to eat. It's something that people can consider doing with some of the event spaces.
We do that, yeah. So sometimes we pull off some events and people are like, oh, Elizabeth has done this. No, we teamed up with someone else, and the minimum spend of the guest spend the minimum for food and drink, and the event is held. It looks good at Jamrock, but I didn't spend a penny.
Anyway, on the price controls for event venues, Lily says that she thinks that landowners would disagree with this strongly. Yeah, they will disagree. But I honestly feel that if you look at Ghana, rents for residential housing, for commercial use, for everything, it's a bit too high. And as somebody in the space, we all know the values of buildings, the value of land in certain areas. So if we had a fair regulatory system, we could set ceilings for various locations. For example, for rent, I don't see why you go and see some single room be in some corner of Accra with no water, nothing, no proper road, and they're asking you to pay 2,000 cedis a month.
It's an abuse.
Right. So the agencies responsible for these things must sit up, because if we don't do these, businesses are paying more for rent, they are passing it on to their customers, they are paying more for all sorts of things, and they are passing it on to people, and we complain that Ghana is expensive. So let's support the institutions mandated to do these things, to do it so that there's some fairness in the whole system. House owners, building owners, venue owners get some fair return for their investments. We also get it, and everybody is happy. Sometimes, because of the way things are structured, all the events are in December, but everybody wants to cash in. But if we also strategically spread and promote tourism all year round, there'll be consistent demand for those spaces, and consistently these people also get money, and we don't have to put all their eggs in the December basket. So I think that's something we all need to push for. Enoch wants to know what your thoughts are about regulations of corporate events, etc., conferences, summits. I think this has also been touched on a bit, but if any of you wants to have a go at this, you can go. So he wants to know what our thoughts are on corporate events, conferences, summits versus free for all events. That's Enoch. And Maureen says that she joined a bit later, but is there a standard minimum requirement in terms of fire safety, equipped washrooms, emergency services, service training, etc., for all events that are endorsed by GTA? From what I endured as an event organizer, yes, but Ivy is here, she can give you a better answer.
Well, I can't tell you the exact minimums are, but I can tell you that if you are doing an event, you are required to have security, you are required to follow the safety regulations with the space. We do have meetings with event organizers. National security gets involved whenever there's events happening for the month of December, because there's so many events taking place. So that is something that are regulations for it. So once you are endorsed, those conversations become more in detail to see what capacity and if you have the ability to actually execute your event. So yes, those things are addressed, and they have to be followed, the regulations, definitely. There was something else you said earlier that now it's escaped my mind now, that I had wanted to comment on now that we've moved on. If it comes to me, I'll state it.
Okay, but before I open the floor for other people to join, Kwame, in 2 minutes, any thoughts on the opportunities in accommodation and transportation? For example, if you had a 4-bedroom house for December, can you decide to probably move your family upstairs, and then you decorate the rooms downstairs, fix them up nicely, and use them as Airbnbs to get some money? If you had extra cars at home, is it advisable to use these for transportation services? What are the opportunities there for individuals and businesses to tap into the December spirit, make some money, and help December run smoothly for all patrons?
I mean, it's good you highlight these opportunities. However, I would say that everybody do your homework. If you're going to offer a transportation service, make sure that your vehicles are well maintained. Okay, check your tires, your oil, the basic maintenance things you need to do for a vehicle. If you want to move your family out and open your space up for rentals, it's not just making the space available for the rental that you have to do. You need to make sure that you learn about hosting people. Often people think Airbnb is just about making your space available. No, what are the things that clients are looking for? Make sure you provide those things, and then yes, you can bill accordingly. But don't Do not provide the things that you should and then still build people. That really is not fair. So I think there's a lot of learning that individuals need to do. You don't just get up and say, oh, like Ivy was saying, you know, it just dawns on people that, oh, in December they could make money. Then, you know, quickly they are trying to fix up their place and not pay particular attention to detail. So there's opportunities for such, but while there's that opportunity, there's also some work to be done leading to that. As the saying goes, opportunity meets preparation. So it doesn't have to start from now. For example, in September, there's going to be paragliding, right? I've already started marketing. I mean, since like after the last one in April. And I can say that I have about 20 people already who have expressed interest. Of course, when it's getting to time, the numbers might change, it might drop based on economic factors too as well, you know. But I mean, it's always good to start early so that people can plan for things. Let's try and change that mindset of doing things last minute. Let's know that to be able to create great things, to be able to have good foundation for businesses, we need to take the pains, the time to do our homework, to learn, consult people. There's nothing wrong if you don't know something for now, but there's everything wrong if you remain ignorant forever. So that's one key thing I'd like to leave us with. Let's ask questions. Let's, you know, consult the people we need to consult. Your first point of call is Google. And if you also do well with your networking, your people skills, when you go out, ask questions. Don't just talk about things and laugh. But as you're talking, you're eating, you're laughing, you know, come up with some of these things, think about opportunities and discuss amongst yourselves, and then look at how best you can improve yourself and make yourself prepared for the opportunities that lie ahead.
Thank you very much, Kwame. So now the floor is open. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. I mention your name, you unmute, and then.
Can I say something before we get into the Q&A session?
Go ahead.
I want everybody to please remember that under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, there are 13 agencies that service different things in tourism. Because a lot of the times when I engage in conversations, whether it's on panel discussions or in regular conversation with people, or when people send messages into the DMs, there's always the assumption that Ghana Tourism Authority is responsible for almost everything. So the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture is Ghana Tourism Authority. There's the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board. There's the National Theatre of Ghana. There's the National Commission on Culture. There's Ghana Tourism Development Company, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, the Du Bois Center. There's the Hotel and Catering Tourism Training Institute. That is one that I often hear people talking about, the training of people and all that kind of stuff. If that's what you're looking at, it is the Hotel, Catering and Tourism Training Institute, which is under the Ministry of Tourism. There's the Bureau of Ghana Languages, there's the National Folklore Board, Pan-African Association, National Film Authority, and Creative Arts Agency. There's 13 agencies under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture. So it's best to look at which one best services whatever tourism related business that you're doing that you may need some questions answered. I think there's even one that offers some support for businesses that are doing tourism. So you just have to check.
Thank you. So Ivy has listed all the agencies and what they do. It just gave me an idea. Those of you who are photographers here, in Christmas, try to have photo exhibitions. People who can travel around the country can come to your exhibition and see, you know, if you have some photos from Volta region, you have authentic apprenticeship from Volta region also being right there and beneath that photo. So you see the photo from Volta, then you taste the Volta apprenticeship. There's some photos from Boga, you have some Pito, or an idea, just that. Now, Enoch,
there were some people in University of Ghana who were actually working on a project like that. It was called Udiza. They had some exhibitions at the Accra International Conference Center.
And the so Enoch, your hand is up. Please unmute and go ahead.
Right, Kojo, thanks. So I just wanted to clarify a bit on the question I asked, which was more on the regulations, right? I'm looking at it from the point where there are times where you have people coming to the country, they're just interested in organizing certain corporate events and really like business seminars, etc. And they come with the mindset of they've already gotten sponsors from elsewhere. They've done all that they have to do. So they come in very lean, right? Maybe 1 or 2 people would come from China or India, etc., and organize the event in such a way that they take all the profits. You know, people go for these business seminars and fairs just because they are looking for certain kinds of opportunities. So the question really is, as much as it comes as often as it should, right, in how they do it, is it really okay as it is to allow for Destination Ghana to sort of have these people come in and do what they want to do? That's the first one. The second part is, does it positively impact on tourism when these events are held? I mean, what has been the nexus? What has been how we've benefited from these corporate events, particularly also getting people around the country and making more impact? So those are just the 2 areas I just wanted a bit more clarity on, if people would want to share on that. Thanks.
Well, I don't have the answer to your question regarding regulations. You're mentioning people coming in very lean and then doing an event and leaving. So basically you're mentioning people who come and then they leave. I don't have the answer to that question. That's not within my scope. So I don't have an answer for you for that particular question. But what I can say is, I think a part of your question is about if it really impacts. It definitely has an impact on tourism and on the economy when there's people coming in for events in the month of December or any other time of year. There is an uptick in the amount of money spent, because each traveler spends an average of over $2,000 when they come into the country. And so that money trickles in to everywhere. So for instance, an example was, I remember there was a woman in Asinmanso who sells eggs. You know, in Ghana, we see the people selling eggs with pepper. She sells eggs with pepper. And she said that she had never sold so many eggs in her life as she did in 2019, when people were coming and wanted to just try it, because it's not something that, you know, a lot of travelers have tried. A lot of travelers come from outside of Ghana, and you don't eat eggs with pepper on it in America or in Europe or something. So that's an example of it impacting someone's life, because she made an exponential amount of sales just from selling more eggs to travelers. So it's all in those little ways that people who come and spend their money actually makes an impact, even though people may feel like they don't see it, but there's individuals who talk about seeing it and feeling it. Because I've had Uber drivers who even say they're looking forward to November, December, because there's so many people in town that they're making more money. And of course, Uber has the surge pricing even at that time too. So there's definitely an economic impact. Did we lose the moderator? Because I don't hear him. I think we may have lost the moderator.
Sorry, I'm here. Thank you, Enoch. I hope Ivy has answered you somehow. If not, I'll give you the opportunity to come back with any follow-ups that you may have. Henry, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, so it's a bit of a follow-on from Enoch's point. We're all kind of aware of the brain drain concept, where there's a lot of real good skills that sit outside in the diaspora. I myself, I'm building a platform aggregating data around real estate infrastructure into one place for people to kind of better plan investments into Ghana over time. I was wondering if there was an Ivy, we've exchanged 1 or 2 messages on Instagram. I was wondering if there was an appetite for a kind of event where kind of existing challenges in Ghana, some of them that have been mentioned here, infrastructure, and bringing people from the diaspora who may have upskilled outside to kind of connect with potential challenges and think over time, plan over time on developing solutions, as opposed to kind of always referring back to the government intervention, because my personal belief is the private sector is what's going to really drive some of the opportunities and the development in Africa. Is that, I didn't see all your 7 pillars, but would an event like that or a connection like that be favorable over the Christmas period?
Ivy, go ahead.
Sorry for the delay. I was trying to unmute. My screen was frozen. So yeah, there's definitely room for that type of event if you're looking to do something like that. In the past, we've had networking events that are business-related events that connect the diaspora and the local community, and there's business people who come and engage and have conversations about some of the challenges with being in Ghana and what some of the solutions may be. So definitely there's room for more of that to happen, because there have been such type of events in the past, and not only in December, but in other times of year. We do encourage events all year. We do encourage events all year long, because we like right now actually as I'm sitting here on this Zoom, there was an event that our office has endorsed, which is the HBCU Africa Education Conference. So I'm doing this Zoom from Movenpick.
Okay.
Because the conference was today. So we endorse events all year long. It's just a matter of there's a huge influx in the month of December, and there's demand in December. So that's why we have the December GH calendar. So if you have that event idea to do something like that, whether it's in December or other times of the year, please do submit your idea into our office, either by email or by the link. If it's happening from November 1st to January 10th, then you have to submit through a particular form. When you go to the Beyond the Return Instagram page, there's a link in the bio. There's a link in the bio that you tap on, and then it'll take you to the form to submit.
Okay, cool, awesome. And just sort of to close out, so I was just telling you guys about my platform, and I just want to kind of mention it because I am kind of a diasporan who was always looking to return, and I didn't have the necessary information available to make really informed decisions around real estate, right? Kojo, you mentioned kind of 2,000 cities for something that doesn't have water, etc. So what I pulled together is an aggregated view over time of what's the real estate trends, etc. And I have a free report if anyone's interested, and if I have permission to paste the link in the chat. So that will launch in July, and I'm hoping, Ivy, if you're still around in July, we can still meet up and talk about that as well. But it's a data analytics platform, long story short, focused on Ghana.
I should be here.
Cool. I'll reach out to you.
I think you can share the link for all of us to see. So you can share the link in the chat.
Amazing. I'll do that now.
For the type of events you want to organize, you should be talking to Ahaspora to partner you to organize some of these events. You can also consider checking out AB and David Africa. It's a law firm that organizes all these events with the mindset of connecting solutions to our problems. Their big events is the Crystal Ball Africa. So you should check them out. And the other people doing interesting stuff. So Ahaspora, partner with Ahaspora, look for AB and David, and talk to CTFM and CTTV. They also have interesting business-related events that you can work with.
Awesome.
All right. So there's a question for you, Ivy.
What question is that?
It's from Ya in the comments. How do we ensure quality over quantity in events? She says she attended a few quite a lot of money and did not receive value for money, which puts her off future December in Ghana events.
Your line was breaking up a bit for me. Can you repeat that?
So yeah, saying that she paid a lot of money and attended some events last year, but she didn't receive value for money. So how do you ensure quality over quantity in the events?
So I don't know what event she attended that she felt she didn't get the quality, but she could certainly have sent a message to our office by email. We had somebody who filed a serious complaint about a particular event that we are no longer going to partner with. We take things very seriously. I don't know what her experience was, but the particular one that this person had complained about to us, she explained in detail what the problems were that happened with this particular organization. So if somebody feels, I mean, in life in general, and I'm not diminishing her experience, but I want to say that a lot of times in life we spend money on things and we don't get what we expected. Like I could buy a new dress and it's not what I expected, but I spent so much money on it. However, with the event experience, I don't know what the event was that she went to. I don't know what the event organizers were promising for what she paid. So what I do know is that we do take it very seriously. If somebody has an issue with something that has happened, we have a lot of meetings with event organizers before the event actually happens, because we want to make sure that it's going to be a quality experience for people when the event is put on. We do a follow-up after the events. So after the December and GH events happen, all the event organizers are asked to fill in some information that we require, because we want to do a follow-up as to the success of the event, whether it's not the monetary success that we're really interested in. We want to know how the event went and how the experience was for people, what can be improved for the following year. So I want to make sure that she knows that if she had a really bad experience somewhere, she can send a message. She can email the office. The office email is support@beyondthereturngh.com. She can send an email and explain whatever event it was that she had an issue with, and then go from there and see what can be done.
Okay, Henry, your hand is up again. Henry?
No, sorry, I just put it down, so I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope you've been answered. Nanette wanted me to list the events I suggested to Henry to partner with. The companies, Ahaspora, #1. Ahaspora has very, very good networks across the AB and David. I know them. They are really committed to some of the things we are talking about. You should talk to them. CTFM and CTTV, they've been doing this for years. So you may also want to partner them to do some of the things that you want to do. If you have solutions looking for problems, I think these three institutions will help you deliver those solutions. We have about 17 more minutes to go. We still have time for some comments and some questions. The main thing is that if you have any ideas that you think will help us improve December in Ghana, will help businesses to optimize that opportunity, to get a lot of returns for themselves, and to also drive economic growth in Ghana, and to also give people the right Ghana experience, please just raise your hand and I'll be happy to hear from you. Ernest Hansen, I don't know whether you raised your hand or there was a reaction from you. So if you want to speak, just unmute and go ahead, Ernest. Okay, so Ernest is not speaking. Nanette wants to know how events are chosen for the calendar. They apply, they are vetted, and they are added to the calendar. I believe Ivy mentioned that earlier. So any questions? Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Nanette says, how do you choose events? I tried to answer the question for you, but she wants to know how you vet events after they apply to be added to the calendar. So,
because there's so many events that are happening, how do you choose the ones out of all those events? That's my question.
So when the events are submitted, it gets sent to the steering committee. So there's a steering committee for Beyond the Return and the Ghana Tourism Authority. They have a meeting and they discuss which events align with the pillars of Beyond the Return, with one of the 7 pillars. So the event has to align with at least one of the 7 pillars. And when they fill out their forms, they look at everything being answered in a way that makes them feel confident that this event will be a successful one and that it will be something that benefits the diaspora, the local Ghanaian community, as well as continental Africans. So it's a committee that reviews it, and the final decision is made after the committee reviews. I'm not part of the committee process, so all I know is the committee reviews it, and then they make the decision on which ones are endorsed. And the CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority, who's also the coordinator of Beyond the Return, is also a big part of making the decision, as well as the chair, the co-chairs of the committee, which include the Minister of Tourism, as well as the Minister of Finance. And the Director of Diaspora Affairs is also on the committee as well. Those are some of the people on the committee. There's a lot more on the committee, but those are just a few.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much.
Bernard wants to know if you can share email addresses of where they can send the inquiries and follow through with ideas. On my side, I think if you check out any of these institutions online, you can get their email addresses. I don't know if Ivy, you can share an email that people who want to get in touch. Ivy, please unmute.
So I'm doing this Zoom on my phone in the lobby of Movenpick. I have been trying to type in the email, and I was in the middle of typing the email, and then I was asked to answer the question, so I stopped typing. So the email is support@beyondthereturnGH.com. Or you can just go to our Instagram page, Beyond the Return, and then tap contact, and the contact information is there.
Okay, can I ask?
Unmute. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so my question
I don't hear you.
about, yeah, I'm Felicia. So I've been curious about the support or the support for service delivery personnel in the informal sector. And when I talk about informal, I'm talking about taxi drivers, cleaners at the hotels, the guys who help tourists carry their bags from airports into their cars. These people add on to the experience we deliver during December, but I don't see any support, any training, anything, I don't know if there is that I don't know about, to equip them to better deliver their services. Because if we put on all these, if we put in all this hard work, we prepare, we do this, we do that, and these small pockets of support do not do their bits, we still cannot get the holistic effect we are looking to get. So what kind of support do we have for these people, or trainings are available to get them all on board this big agenda? Thank you.
So one thing that I can say is that we can't do everything, because I mean, when you think about, I've traveled to a lot of countries, and what I can say is that a lot of countries aren't spending time training every single person on the ground. It's too big of a task to be able to take on. But what I can tell you is that there are some trainings that do happen, some engagement that does happen that people may not be aware of, because it's not something that's always announced. So for example, last year before December, our office had meetings with people in the Arts Center. They had engagements with some of the traders and hawkers. And so with the engagement, a lot of times people who are in the informal sector, they have an expectation that they want something in return if you're going to take their time from them. So, our team had distributed some things to them like aprons. So if you see people walking around with Beyond the Return aprons, like in the market, it was after we had a community engagement to talk to them about the increase of people coming in December, and being friendly and understanding that it's different kinds of people that are coming into town, and that engagement happened so that we can prepare the people for knowing that there's going to be a huge increase of the number in the month of December. So we did that. We did that in the Art Center as well as in the market. I really went around Makala Market, even around Jamestown, talking to people. So we have a limited capacity of who we can reach, but we do the best we can when it comes to helping to support. I do know that, I think that if I'm not mistaken, they had engagement with some of the taxi and Uber drivers and Bolt drivers. I think it was the Tourism Society of Ghana that was doing that also. So there's pockets of things that happen that people don't know about, but oftentimes people assume that nothing's happening, but things happen behind the scenes. I always say there's so much stuff happening behind the scenes that people have no idea is happening. But at the end of the day, when we have this engagement with people, we can't control them because they are adults and they make their decisions. So sometimes we have these trainings, we talk to them about something, but then still the same thing happens. one of the things that we've talked to people about, I know that I have talked to people about, is when I go to the art center, and I've talked to some of them about why it's important to not make the people feel like they're being harassed, because one of the things we get complaints about is people go to the art center and you have people grabbing someone's arm and trying to pull you to their stand because they want you to come and buy from them. And it's almost like they're trying to force you to buy. And a lot of travelers said that they have felt like they feel uncomfortable going there now because they feel like they're just being attacked just to spend by force. And so I've had conversations with people in those areas telling them that, you have to relax, because the shopping experience they have abroad is you go, you look around, then you decide what you want before you come and actually say, okay, I'm going back to stall number 1, I'm going to booth number 20. And then you're like, I'll go there and buy after I've taken a look. So I've done my best to explain to a lot of them there that you have to allow people their experiences and don't try to be pushy with it. So we try our best, over and over again, but some of them still do the same thing in the end. So we do the best we can.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I think on the harassment bit, it's becoming a regular thing with Ghanaian traders and hawkers. You get to Atimpoku on your way from Akosombo, and you want to buy a bolo, and everybody's rushing to your car like you open your car and everybody's just stuffing that stuff in, like they're pushing stuff in your face. You are in traffic and you call for water and everybody runs to you. I really think we need to train our traders and hawkers so they understand that the person in the closest proximity must be allowed to go do the business. So you don't scare.
May I come in there?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I mean, when you talk about training, let me say formal people is relatively easier. Even that one, so long as they're adults, they decide to do whatever they want to do. But with these people, it's a matter of survival. Like if you are lax, if you are just there, people do all sorts of things. I mean, some people may just have people coming to their stand and you realize that people are not coming to yours. So then you want to be aggressive, right? Now in the art center, not everybody is at the forefront. So those who are inside come and stand at the entrance and they try to get you to go to the back. Because the truth of the matter is, if they don't do that, by virtue of their position in the market,
So the thing is, if you are inside and you are coming up front to attract people, choose some of your best stuff and display them, right? Display them such that when the person sees them and says, wow, I like these. Oh, my shop is at the back, go something, but the approach is wrong. And the truth is, most of these informal businesses, they have associations and they have leadership. So we can work through their leadership to sanitize the way they do some of these things. I like Abolo, but I never stop at Bong or any of those places anymore to get a bolo because Charlie, me street boy no. So
right.
you imagine somebody who is not used to this going to your art center or driving in town and wants to buy something and they experience this. So we really need to work on it.
I agree with you, and I was coming to a point. So for example, if the art center, you can't regulate how people are going to behave, what you can do is to create your own market and then have people who are going through the training be at that market, branding and marketing, and then hit the international market and then drive people to that market. And then, eventually it's like, yeah, art center, if you're not getting customers, it's because you're not doing what we are guiding you to do. You are making clients feel uncomfortable. So then that way, you would, it's in behavioral economics, it's called like nudging. Like you are not fighting with anybody, you're not forcing anybody.
That's
you've given them, you've given them the advice. They are not listening. Okay, just create another market and then appeal to the international market and then drive people there. A very good example of a place. This is a private one. Is Wild Gecko in North Jovlu. I mean, when the diasporans go there to shop, they are happy. I mean, the price tags are there, they walk at their own pace, they get explanations for things that they require. And that's the kind of shopping they're used to. And even us here in Ghana too, yes, that's the kind of thing we would want. Nobody wants to be heckled around. So that's an approach that could be looked at.
Only 4 minutes, so I'll let Bernard have 30 seconds of that. I'll read 2 messages and I'll take final submissions from our panelists. So Bernard, unmute and go ahead.
All right, thank you, Kojo, and good evening to everyone. I think that the last 3 submissions really took the wind off what I wanted to share, but just to add a note to it, I think that when you look at how the World Cup is organized, I was only privileged to be working with MTN SA when they actually sponsored the World Cup in South Africa. And when you look at how they accredit service providers that they don't directly control, but they cannot create a market that they could have that level of control over who is providing transport, which food vendors or food sports, they can be able to take some of these people to the level of training, the quality.
Hello, Bernard. We lost Bernard there, so let me read some messages and take quick comments from our panelists so we wrap up. Elizabeth, you're a panelist, but I'll read your message anyway. She says the NCCE could take this up on the training and can we use the media houses? Yes, we should use the media houses to run an intentional campaign to address this attitudinal change that we want. And just as we are advised to start planning early, is there a way to use the media to educate people on service delivery throughout the year? Yes, Ahaspora should take that up. Use your influence in the media to get slots to speak about some of these issues. I think you can do that. Kwame, your point reminds me of taxi drivers. Before Uber and Bolt, engaging with taxi drivers was difficult. That's true. That's true. And Enoch said, health and safety, crowd management, fire posts for events. How does Ghana rate currently? I don't know how we are rated, but when I used to organize events a lot, we're made to have all those things in place. Crowd management, health and safety, fire service. We always had fire service at post. We always had an ambulance at post. So those were things GTA expected us to do and we did them. So these things are there. As to whether we are able to enforce it across the country and at all events, that I can't speak to. So Elizabeth, you have a minute, Kwame as well, and Ivy, a minute each to have your closing remarks. How do we position our businesses to take advantage of December in GH and every other month in the year?
I can't stop harping on teamwork, collaborative efforts that reduces the cost of operations, especially for December where you want to make a significant impact. Packaging yourself, being passionate about what you are selling and package it right. Everybody buys wache and banku and okro ademe, but how do you present it? It must be appealing to the eye and have a lasting impact and impression on the patronage so they tell everyone else about you. Jamrock is the only Jamaican restaurant in West Africa. Yeah, man. Let's do this. What else? The last thing, local market. We are December in Ghana. Yes, we are waiting for the tourists as well, but let's receive warmly our local market. They keep us throughout the year. Let's treat them just as golden as we treat the foreigners. Yeah, man. 1 minute.
Kwame.
Okay, so I can't overemphasize the fact that we need to do our homework. Let's improve ourselves. Let's improve our capacity. Let's build capacity. Train our staff. Let's get more knowledge. And then when we do that, let's also put in more effort with our branding and marketing. There are digital tools that we could use. There are influencers we could partner with, and like Elizabeth keeps hammering on partnerships. Let's keep that rolling, and yeah, together we can. and we'll make it. But individually, not as much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kwame. And Ivy.
Thank you so much for having me on this panel. It has been a good experience having this conversation and hearing from everybody and their questions. I think that everybody should know that experiencing Ghana is more than the month of December. Yes, December is a key part of tourism because it is busy season. Just like any country, every country has their peak season, and December happens to be that for Ghana. But we should also be creative and look at ways to attract people all times of the year, whether it's domestically or internationally. Ghana has a tourism campaign that is a domestic tourism campaign, and we also have the international tourism campaign. So we can encourage our local community to travel, have travel experiences across the country, which also can include events and tourism experiences like what Kwame does. And we can also have events that happen in December. I think that when we love promoting the country we live in, it makes for a better experience for people who do come here. And everything that I do has a lot to do with passion, the passion for Africa, the passion for promoting this continent to the world, and the passion for promoting Ghana to the world. I think it's very important that we know that we have some challenges, but we also know that we do have an advantage over the rest of the continent. Ghana has always been a Pan-Africanist nation and has always been welcoming to people. And as long as we continue to do that and we create creative experiences, then we're winning, regardless of any challenges. When you're creative with your experiences and you leverage something specific, you can become the best at what you do and become the go-to at whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivy. So thank you very much, Elizabeth, Kwame, and Ivy. It's been a good conversation. I wish we had more time, but yeah, Ivy, you have to go back to your conference. Elizabeth,
oh, the conference has wrapped up.
Okay. Elizabeth probably wants to go and serve people some jerk chicken and
we have Afro-Latino dance. We're doing line dancing and dance hall right now.
So you want to go and dance, eh? And I know you have a lot on your plate, but you made time for this. On behalf of Ahaspora, I want to say a big thank you to all of you and to those who joined the conversation here. And thank you. We have a feedback form in the chat and also on the Ahaspora Facebook page. Kindly fill the form and give us feedback so that we can make our next event even better for you. And our next event is an industry webinar on the topic leveraging the diaspora through remittances. It's going to be an in-person event at Sai Wine in Osu on the 13th of July. And the topic is thriving in Ghana, the ins and the outs. Okay, we have two events. The next webinar is leveraging the diaspora through remittances. And then we have a diaspora roundtable on July 13 at Sai Wine Osu. So we'll share all those details on the Ahaspora website and on our social media handles. Please, before you go, we want to take a photo with all of you. So if you don't mind, if you can turn on your camera for just the next 15 seconds so that we take a photo, a screenshot to capture all our faces. So please turn on your camera, all of us, so we can see your beautiful faces. And so Enoch and team, let me know when you are ready to take the photo so we smile for the camera.
Okay.
Please don't leave the chat yet. Just turn on your camera just for 10 to 15 seconds so we can. Desmond, Edem, Lexi, Ya, Jibril, Edwina, Afihima, Nanesi, Akosia, please, if you can, turn on your cameras for just 10 seconds. Okay.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
Cheers.
So
Cheers. All right, got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Tomorrow is a manic Monday, but still, I know all of you are going to enjoy tomorrow. You are going to make money. Entrepreneurs, pay your workers. Workers, when you get the salary, to spend it on us. Let's build Ghana together. And let's just chill up. Everybody chill up.
Chill out.
Charlie, take care. And thank you.
Kiss to the baby.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kojo, for
Thank you all.
hosting this
Bye.
amazing webinar.
Yo, me that's it. Nana Kabna is calling me. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yo, Charlie. All right, bye.